Howdy, folks, and welcome to Moose Podcast number 352. Understand everything? How you folks doing? I trust you're great. Getting ready for, tomorrow is 4th of July, baby. It's time to go out and pop some fireworks, take some pictures, have a great time, celebrate the freedoms this great land offers us. So, I trust you're going to have a great week with that camera out there making some great clicks. Thanks for taking a little bit of time to drop on by. I do appreciate your support. I also really appreciate and depend on the support from the folks at Bedford's Camera, bedfords.com. My dear friends, for so long, you've heard me talk about them week after week. Hey, it's amazing. Even when the VP's in Iceland and I reach out, even from Iceland, he reaches back and tells me and helps me. Got me that beautiful Benro Mach 3 tripod I love so much, as well as other things. Nikon, like I know a lot of you have pre-ordered that 180 to 600. What a beautiful lens. So Bedford's Camera, bedfords.com, they've got great prices and killer inventory, really knowledgeable personnel, and of course, it's the home of the Moose discount, that 5% you see after you check out. So check them out, bedfords.com. Thanks for supporting the Moose Podcast. Well, I'm going to get right into this week's episode. Understand everything? I was watching and reading another report, and I love reading studies for a number of reasons. Because a lot of those studies, reports are what? They're trying to understand everything. In this particular one I was reading, it really came to, I thought the conclusion summed up all the pages. And it was real simple. We don't need to understand everything to do more than just function. We can actually excel with not understanding everything. And that really got me to thinking. Give you a classic example. If you have an iPhone, okay, or any smartphone as far as that's concerned, but I'm going to talk about an iPhone. I know for myself personally, I do not understand or know every feature in that phone. Yet I can make phone calls. I can send texts. I can do emails, check on the weather. I can do a whole bunch of things. How about another example that really just comes smacking me in the face? Photoshop. How many can really say they understand everything when it comes to Photoshop, right? And if someone comes up and says, "Hey, do you understand everything?" What do you say? I know what I say. I always say, I understand the things I need to know to get my work done. Otherwise, I have no clue what's in there. It still works. So, coming back to our photography, and looking at you know the world as it's presented to us today, because yes, I'm trying to, you could say, sway tomorrow. I can't change yesterday like any of us. So, working with just today and improving my photography, do I need to understand everything to go out and make clicks? And clearly, the answer is no. You can go out and make clicks, and probably successful clicks, not understanding everything there is to know. But that begs the question, if we don't need to understand everything, how much do we need to understand and use to make our photograph, to improve as photographers? And that's really, I think, where the challenge is. So, the first part of this is to understand that understanding everything is not a requirement for success. You don't have to know how everything works. Now, there's some of us geeky head people, and yes, my hand is raised higher probably than everybody else in the classrooms right now, that just thrive on understanding the back side of the process. You know, what information is the sensor actually gathering? In what form? And how does that form get through the pipeline? And then how does that form turn into something that we can take into Adobe Camera Raw? And yeah, it goes on and on. But none of that, none of that information is going to change the way I arrange elements. Let's go down to that part then. I've mentioned many times on this podcast, many times over the decades, the paper that I wrote that's on the website on the psychology of color. You know, believe it or not, that hasn't changed. It's still the way we are generally wired and the way we work. Color really, really, really moves us around each and every second of the day. Now, that information, right? How much do we need to understand when it comes to everything for our photography? That's a limited thing, right? Because a lot of folks, need to be honest about with this for yourself, are still trying to understand the thing called exposure. And there's all these tools out there trying to help people connect the dots. How the combination of aperture and shutter speed bring out the exposure, and how we could change one to freeze a subject, how we change the other one to change how much is and out of focus, how we can change one or the other to make a photograph look happy or mad. That first process, understanding everything, still not required to be successful. And let's be serious again. Some people don't even try to understand that because they then rely on the computer to do it. But now that has gotten complicated with AI. There's a lot that came out this week. I don't know. You saw the Copyright Office said that copyright has to have human part of it, suggesting, and even though it hasn't been to court yet, that all AI created content is not something that can be copyrighted. Ho, ho, ho. Talk about opening up Pandora's box there. What a bag of worms, trying to, oh man, just remember what they did with the chimp that took a picture of itself with a person's camera. That case. Oh, God. So, do you need to understand everything there? Well, if you don't go into the AI dark side, yes, I need to answer that question. It's come quite a bit. Have I played with the AI stuff? I've done one thing, just one thing, and I tried to see if I could insert myself into a photograph. So I said, put Moose Peterson, and yeah, nothing came up. Not a moose, not a Peterson, not a me. That's one thing I've done with AI just to see if there's a picture of me somewhere in that library because I know some of my stuff has been used as reference, but not my mugshot. Anyway, digressing. So understanding everything is not a requirement, and the reason why I brought this whole topic up is because I point blank had an email from somebody who thought to be successful in the business of photography, they had to understand everything. And I'm talking business, bookkeeping and advertising and that branding thing everybody says you've got to have, which I have a whole nother story for that one. Should do that as a podcast anyway. And then there's all that stuff, like writing. And I just looked at him and I said, have you ever read my writing? And then there's all that thing called photography, and all that gets wrapped up in this thing called business. Uh, Now, understand everything when it comes to just the business side of photography, I don't know that's even possible. I mean, the variables are constantly changing. I had this last week, we had and you think after 40 years, you could say you've seen it all. Not this week. Had a whole nother opportunity come forth. But there's no software, there's no book, there's no guidelines on how to approach this opportunity. And like I've mentioned before, there's one thing. This is what I actually was negotiating this, not Sharon, but when Sharon does it and she says a price and they say yes too fast, oh gosh, he just hates that because it's an indication that in their mind they're going to get charged more. So when it was less, they said yes so fast, it's like, oh, I could have gotten more money. And being good old American capitalists, more money, is important. Oh, a new joke I just learned. Got to share it after that comment. Why did Stalin always write in lowercase? He hated capitalism. Anyway, so this opportunity came up, and I was like, wow, I thought I understood everything about this business. And this came up, and I'm like, this is almost like, I'm going to say a revolving door to a cash machine, almost an ATM, if it all pans out. But how do you do it in the process of the business? So understand everything. My point is, I don't think it's required or it should even be a goal. That's really important. I don't think it's a goal that we need to understand everything. I think we need to have the best comprehension we have of the where we are today with an open mind and flexibility that tomorrow more is going to come in and that's going to help us understand better, but not understand everything. Now, there's a couple, let's just say, things out there that I saw that, I just, they implied that one, they, the writer, speaker, knew everything. And that always just makes me nervous, that right off the bat. And then their insinuation that to be successful, you have to understand everything. And I was just like, I had just gotten done with this phone call. And I was like, wow, here's this person purporting you have to understand everything. And here's this opportunity that just got laid in front of me with potential, um, great potential. And I didn't understand any part about the process. I've been doing it for 40 years. It's like this guy, these people have a lot of goals, you know, kind of insisting you need to understand everything. And I just want you to know from somebody who really thinks he knows nothing, especially when I see what critters do. And yeah, understand everything. It's not what it's all cracked up to be. And so don't put yourself in that bind to do that. Because the number one thing that actually started this whole line of thought for me was the new Nikon Z8, which, uh, you know, it's really just a really amazing camera. If you're shooting strictly video, the Z8's not for you. If you shoot video and stills or just stills, the Z8 is just spectacular. And that battery, that smaller battery, if you shoot just video, you got to have spare batteries because video, it's crank electricity. But this person was had the camera, and I believe they only had it for about 10 days. So now it's probably about 2 weeks. And they were really in this mental bind because they wanted to understand everything and they wanted my help. And I wrote back, I said, I don't know how to help you because I don't understand everything. And they said, no, you know everything. And you're just saying that so you don't have to help me. And I go, well, no, I don't understand everything. And I gave them a couple things that are features in there that came up that I said I had to go look up. I didn't know these terms and I had to play with them. Wow. And it's understand everything is not required. And I'm not sure that if you had all that knowledge, it would actually help because it might actually cloud the creative process. So I just want, I guess you could say, give you license permission, if that's even my place to be, that you don't have to understand. And that quest for knowledge is just as important, I think, as that quest for that perfect photograph. And I think both of them are just as elusive and probably non attainable and not as important. But yet it's still a quest that we can seek. And there's gonna be growth in that, there's gonna be failure in there, we're gonna pick ourselves up, we're gonna keep on moving, and that's the most important part. So just understand one thing, don't have to understand everything. You guys have a marvelous 4th of July tomorrow. Thanks for stopping by, and remember to make every click your story.